All right, today we're going to dig into a topic that's, well, literally right under our feet, but it holds the key to pretty much all life on our planet. We're talking about the secret life of soil. So, I want to start with a question for you. If you had to name the single most vital, life giving substance on our entire planet, what would you pick? Water, maybe? Oxygen? I mean, both are absolutely essential, of course, but the answer I'm thinking of is a little more grounded. The answer is the soil right beneath your feet. But here's the thing. It's not just dirt, not by a long shot. It's the living, breathing, dynamic part of the soil that makes everything else possible. So, what is it that makes this part of the soil so special? Our journey to figure that out starts by meeting the hero of our story today, soil organic matter. Okay, so what exactly is soil organic matter, or SOM as you'll hear it called? Put simply, it's all the living and, the once living stuff in the soil. Just picture a fallen leaf. That one leaf, along with old roots, dead microbes, and animal remains, all of it becomes the raw ingredient for that rich, fertile, life-sustaining soil we all depend on. Now here's something that might blow your mind. In most mineral soils, organic matter only makes up this tiny little fraction, somewhere between 0.1 and 5%. But you can't let that small number fool you. Its impact is absolutely colossal. This is a classic case of quality over quantity, for sure. So, how does this transformation even happen? Well, that fallen leaf we just talked about doesn't just sit there. The moment it hits the ground, it kicks off this epic all-you-can-eat buffet for a whole crew of microscopic chefs. And this, my friends, is where the magic really begins. And what's on the menu at this incredible buffet? Well, our leaf is actually a really complex meal. It's mostly made of stuff like hemicellulose and cellulose. Those are the tough plant fibers. It's also got lignin, which is kind of like the plant's skeleton, super tough stuff. Plus, you've got some proteins, starches, and fats in there too. It's a full-course meal, but only for the right kind of diner. So who are these microscopic diners? First up to the plate, we have bacteria. These guys are the primary decomposers, the absolute workhorses of the soil. They make up a staggering 90% of the microbial population. And believe me, they are the first ones to the party, ready to start breaking everything down. Next in line are the fungi. You can think of them as the specialists. While the bacteria are handling the easy-to-digest parts, fungi come in with the heavy-duty tools. They're the ones who can break down the really tough materials, like that lignin. And as we're about to see, this makes them the master architects of the soil. And finally, rounding out the crew are the actinomycetes. These are the finishers. They're a special type of bacteria that come in and clean up the last bits and pieces. And here's a really cool fact for you. You know that amazing earthy smell you get right after it rains? That's them. That's the smell of actinomycetes hard at work. Now, this feast doesn't just happen all at once. Oh no, these microbes are strategic eaters. They follow a very specific order. They go for the easy calories first, all the sugars and starches. Then they move on to the tougher stuff, like the cellulose. And finally, they tackle the hardest part of the meal, that woody, super resistant lignin. So, what's left behind after this whole epic feast is over? This is the climax of our story, really, the creation of a new, incredible substance called humus. Humus is the final result of all that breaking down. It's this dark, rich, incredibly complex, and really stable material. It's not a leaf anymore, it's not a root, it's not a microbe. It has been completely transformed into something entirely new, a kind of superpowered material that is the absolute lifeblood of fertile soil. The really crucial point here is its structure. This quote from our source material just captures it perfectly. Humus is amorphous, which means it has no defined shape, and it's colloidal, which means it's made of these teeny tiny particles that just kind of float within the soil. And this unique structure, well, that's the key to all of its amazing abilities. And believe me, these abilities are incredible. This is why humus is so vital. It literally gives soil superpowers. This is the real payoff from that entire decomposition process. Okay, superpower number 1, water retention. Humus acts like a giant super sponge, absorbing and holding onto up to 90% of its own weight in water. What that means is that soils rich in humus are way more resilient to drought. They can hold on to that moisture for plants when they need it most. Superpower number 2 is nutrient storage. This number 200 represents its average cation exchange capacity, or CEC. Okay, that sounds super technical, I know. But just think of it like this. Humus is a magnet for nutrients. A high CEC just means humus is fantastic at grabbing essential plant food like calcium and potassium and holding on tight so they don't wash away. And that means better soil needs fewer fertilizers, which is great for the environment and, your wallet. In superpower number 3, it's all about perfect balance. Humus has a carbon to nitrogen ratio of about 10 to 1. Why does that matter? Well, it turns out that's the absolute ideal ratio for soil microbes. It ensures they can efficiently break down organic matter and release a nice, steady supply of nutrients for plants. So let's just put it all together. This slide shows the incredible transformation. Poor soil is often compacted, hard, can't hold water, and is basically nutrient poor. But with humus, the soil becomes crumbly and airy. It acts like a sponge for water. It resists erosion, and it becomes this rich bank of available nutrients. I mean, the difference is just night and day. And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. The creation of humus isn't just about improving one little patch of soil. It powers a cycle that sustains entire ecosystems. This is such a great way to think about it. Humus is the soil's rechargeable battery for essential nutrients. It safely stores all these nutrients in its complex structure, and then, thanks to the work of microbes, it slowly releases that energy back into the ecosystem, making it available for new life to grow. Here's a perfect example of how that battery works in real time, the nitrogen cycle. So first, microbes perform what's called mineralization, unlocking the nitrogen that's stored in the humus. Next, other bacteria convert that into nitrates, which is an even more accessible food for plants. Finally, the plants absorb these nutrients, and when they eventually die, they return their organic matter to the soil, recharging that battery for the next generation. It's beautiful. And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? From a single fallen leaf to the massive cycles that support all life on Earth, the secret is right there, in the soil. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. The soil gave us life. Are we doing enough to give life back to the soil? Thanks for tuning in.